That cup of coffee sitting on your counter right now might be doing a lot more than waking you up. And I don't mean caffeine jitters or an afternoon crash. I'm talking about what's actually inside those grounds. Chemicals, fillers, and contaminants that major coffee brands are hoping you never ask about. If you're drinking one of the 11 brands I'm about to name, you need to hear this before tomorrow morning. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which brands failed my research, why they failed, and the 3 brands that actually passed every single check. One of them costs less than what you're probably paying right now. Stick with me, especially when I get to brand number 8. That one genuinely shocked me. Let's get something straight. Most people assume there's some government agency carefully inspecting every bag of coffee before it reaches your grocery shelf. There isn't. The FDA doesn't require pre-market approval for coffee. They respond to problems after they surface. That means contamination, mislabeling, fillers. All of that can exist in a product for years before anyone with authority even looks at it. Independent lab testing has repeatedly found things in commercial coffee that shouldn't be there. Mycotoxins from improper storage, pesticide residues from overseas farms with zero oversight, artificial flavoring agents disguised under vague label terms. I'm not here to scare you out of drinking coffee. I drink it every single day. But I'm here to help you understand that not all coffee is equal, and the brand you've been loyal to for 15 years might not deserve that loyalty. I spent over 4 months going through lab analyses, third-party testing databases, import violation records, and ingredient disclosures to compare 14 coffee brands head-to-head. 11 of them raised enough red flags that I can't stay quiet about it. 3 stood out as genuinely clean. Let's start with the one that's probably in your kitchen right now. Folgers. It's in nearly half of American homes. It's affordable, it's everywhere, and it's been a breakfast staple for generations. But here's what that red canister doesn't tell you. Folgers sources from massive commodity supply chains where traceability is almost non-existent. That means the beans in your can might come from 5 or 6 different countries with wildly different pesticide regulations. Independent testing has flagged conventional Folgers for detectable levels of ochratoxin A, a mycotoxin produced by fungi during poor storage conditions. In small amounts, your body can handle it. Every single morning for 20 years? That accumulates. And Folgers has zero transparency initiatives on their website. No sourcing reports, no third-party certifications for the standard line. For a brand that big, that silence is a choice. Maxwell House is another giant, and the story is similar, but worse in one specific way. Not only does Maxwell House share the same commodity sourcing problems as Folgers, but they've also been caught using the term 100% pure coffee, while independent analyses have questioned the filler content in some product lines. The flavor profile of certain Maxwell House blends is suspiciously consistent, and in the coffee world, extreme consistency across batches often signals heavy processing and additive use. If you're drinking the flavored varieties, the ingredient list gets even murkier. Vague terms like natural flavors can legally cover dozens of chemical compounds. You deserve to know what you're swallowing. Café Bustelo. I know, this one's going to upset some people. Café Bustelo has an incredibly loyal fan base, and I understand why. The flavor is strong, the price is right, and it feels like an authentic choice. But bold taste can mask a lot. Bustelo is a commodity-grade coffee, with virtually no transparency around sourcing regions or pesticide testing. The espresso-style grind means you're consuming a more concentrated dose of whatever is in those beans, good or bad. And with no organic certification, no fair trade verification on most products, and no published testing data, you're trusting the brand entirely on flavor alone. That's not enough. Store brand coffees. This is where it gets uncomfortable because I know how many of us grabbed the Walmart Great Value, the Kirkland Signature, the Aldi House brand. These coffees are cheap for a reason. They're sourced from the lowest cost suppliers available, often the same commodity lots that already failed to meet standards for name brand buyers. Store brands change suppliers constantly based on price, which means the coffee you bought last month might come from a completely different farm. and a completely different set of chemical exposures than the bag you buy next week. There's no consistency and almost never a third-party certification backing them up. I'm not saying every store brand bag is contaminated. I'm saying you have no way of knowing, and neither does the store. Nescafé Clásico is one of the most consumed instant coffees on the planet, and that massive global supply chain is exactly the problem. Instant coffee goes through extreme processing, spray drying or freeze drying, that can concentrate contaminants while stripping beneficial compounds. Nestlé, which owns Nescafé, has faced multiple investigations worldwide over sourcing practices. When your supply chain spans dozens of countries with different agricultural standards, quality control becomes a marketing claim more than a reality. If you're using instant coffee for convenience, I'll give you a better option in a few minutes. But Nescafé isn't it. McCafe on the grocery shelf is not the same as what you get at the McDonald's drive-thru. That's something most people don't realize. The retail McCafe line is licensed, manufactured by a separate company, and sourced differently. You're paying for the brand recognition of a restaurant chain, not for their in-store quality standards. Lab comparisons of retail McCafe blends have shown nothing alarming on the contamination front, but the lack of any organic option, any sourcing transparency, or any third-party testing puts it firmly in the trust use category. And I don't just trust brands anymore. Neither should you. Ubon. This one's nostalgic. Your parents might have had it in the cupboard. Mine did. Ubon has actually made some effort towards sourcing through Rainforest Alliance certified farms, and I want to give them credit for that. But here's where that credit runs thin. Rainforest Alliance certification sets a floor, not a ceiling. It doesn't mean pesticide-free. It doesn't mean mycotoxin tested. And the Ubon product lineup still includes non-certified blends that carry none of those protections. If the certified version is the one you buy, you're in better shape than most on this list. But the brand as a whole, inconsistent. And inconsistency is its own kind of risk. 8 o'clock. Coffee has a loyal following that goes back generations. It's one of the oldest coffee brands in the country, and it's priced right in that sweet spot where people feel like they're getting quality without overpaying. But here's the truth. 8 o'clock is owned by Tata Global Beverages, one of the largest commodity tea and coffee companies in the world. The sourcing is global, the transparency is minimal, and when I looked for independent lab results or pesticide testing disclosures, I found nothing. Loyalty is earned through transparency, not through tradition. Chock full o' nuts. The name sounds so wholesome, so old-fashioned, so safe, and that branding is working exactly as intended. Chock full o' nuts is another mass-market commodity coffee with no organic line, no published sourcing standards, and no third-party contamination testing that I could find. They're selling you a feeling. Warmth, reliability, your grandmother's kitchen. Feelings aren't food safety data. Community Coffee is one I almost didn't include because it flies under the radar. It's a regional brand, huge in the South, family-owned, and genuinely beloved. But regional and family-owned doesn't mean differently regulated. Community Coffee sourcing still relies on conventional commodity channels, and their pesticide testing protocols aren't published or verified by independent labs. I actually wanted this one to pass. It didn't. Now, Starbucks. And I mean specifically, the bags you buy at the grocery store. A lot of people assume that the Starbucks name on a retail bag means the same quality controls as the cafe. It doesn't work that way. Starbucks retail coffee is produced and distributed through a partnership with Nestlé, the same company behind Nescafé. The sourcing standards for retail bags are not identical to what Starbucks uses in their own stores. You're paying a premium for the siren logo, but you might not be getting premium quality behind it. Before you spend $7 on a grocery store Starbucks bag, you should know what that money is actually buying. Alright, 11 brands down, and I know that might feel overwhelming. Maybe even a little defeating. So let me give you the good news, because 3 brands came through my research clean. First, Purity Coffee. This is a brand built from the ground up around health. They test every single lot for mycotoxins, pesticides, and mold before it's roasted. They publish their results. They source exclusively from organic farms with direct trade relationships. The price is higher than Folgers, obviously, but you're paying for verified safety, not marketing promises. If you can afford it, this is as clean as commercial coffee gets. Second, Life Boost Coffee. Shade grown, single origin, USDA organic, and they run third-party testing for over 400 contaminants. 400. That's not a typo. They also use a low-acid process that's easier on your stomach, which matters if you're drinking coffee daily for decades. The flavor is smooth, the testing is rigorous, and the sourcing is transparent. It's not cheap, but the value is in what's not in your cup. Third, and this is the one I promised would surprise you, Aldi's Simply Nature Organic Coffee. Yes, a store brand. But this specific line is USDA Organic Certified, which means mandated pesticide restrictions. It's priced under $6 in most stores, and it consistently meets organic compliance standards at every audit. It's not as rigorously tested as Purity or Life Boost, but for the price, it's the safest budget option I found. If money is tight and you still want cleaner coffee, this is your move. Now let me leave you with something you can use forever, not just for coffee. Whenever you're evaluating any coffee brand, or honestly any food product, run it through 4 checks. 1. Does it carry a USDA organic certification? That's your baseline for pesticide control. 2. Does the company publish third-party lab testing? If they're clean, they want you to know. 3. Can you trace the sourcing? Single origin or named region coffee is always more accountable than mystery blends. And 4. How transparent is the brand? Check their website. If there's no sourcing page, no testing page, and no certifications listed, that tells you everything. You now know more about what's in your morning cup than most people will ever bother to learn. And that's not a small thing. Coffee is the most consumed beverage in the country after water. You drink it every single day. The brands you choose accumulate over years, over decades. Making a smarter choice tomorrow morning isn't paranoia. It's just paying attention. If this changes how you think about your coffee, share it with someone who still grabs whatever's cheapest on the shelf. They deserve to know too. Drop a comment telling me which brand you're switching to. Or if you've already found a clean one I didn't mention, I want to hear about it. I read everything. And if you're not subscribed yet, I'm covering grocery store foods next. Same deep dive, same honesty. You don't want to miss that one.